Hello and welcome to an episode of The Card Show. Hope everyone is well. And if you are in the UK, it's been quite sunny there for the last 10 days, which is, if you're in Manchester like I am, is unusual to have so much sun this early in the year. So it's been very nice. I hope everyone's been enjoying it if you've had the nice sun. Let's get into the sports. What a weekend it's been. This is recording. This is Sunday, the 13th of April. So it's been like a proper super Sunday for sports. Over the weekend, obviously, we had a lot of teams dropping points. My team, Manchester City, obviously went 2-0 down from the first X amount of minutes against Palace and came back to win 5-2. I am not going to lie. I did not see that one coming, especially after going 2-0 down. I thought Palace were one of them teams, and I thought it was one of them days. It's because it's been one of them years for us. And I think that makes the Premier League a little bit interesting still, not for the title, because we got into that in second. But, we had it with F1 the last few years, right, where it's just been Max Verstappen running clear to F1, sort of hasn't carried the same sort of vibe. This year is obviously different, so there's a lot more people interested in it, and we'll talk about it later on. But same with the Premier League. We've always been quite close, whether it was City, Liverpool, City or Arsenal, have been close to the last few games. This year, Liverpool have just been on top since forever. But now it's a Champions League spot, so how not? Forest are up there, currently still in third, but they drop points. Chelsea drop points. Ipswich, who are now in fifth, and so City obviously picked up points and fourth. It's it's a big one. I mean, I'm hoping we can clinch third. It's the best we can do right now. There could be a cup in there. It could be a trophy for the season, which would be a first, right? But I think it definitely makes it more interesting coming to the end of the season for the Final Four, because I think there's a few teams still in play there. There's going to be a lot of games, a lot of points dropped, a lot of missed opportunities. But yeah, fair play to Forest to be able to stay late this time of year, which is crazy. Obviously, Liverpool, after recording this, won today, pretty much at the last minute. Virgil van Dijk header. I'm sure the Liverpool fans are hoping he signs a contract like Salah did. Unlucky for West Ham. They needed points as well. But yeah, this league's rightly there this year. I mean, I might be biased, but it's not been one of them years, has it, where it's been interesting. Everyone else has faltered. I mean, United, you've seen beat by Newcastle. Everyone's just been so poor this year. I think Arsenal have had good spurts, but again, very inconsistent throughout the season. It's just, yeah. I'm trying to think of, is there anyone else? First, Forest have been quite interesting, haven't they? Being up there. But yeah, it's just been one of the years where not every team has been wanting to win a league, let's be honest. So, fair play to Liverpool, they've won it. Hopefully next year will be a different ball game. I think it's going to be a big, obviously, we've already seen some big changes. City, with the amount of signings they made in January, the De Bruyne announcement. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, I've talked about this with new people before, one of the most sort of disrespected current players in the card market as well, Kevin De Bruyne. So to see him leave, it's going to be interesting if he does go to the Saudi League or the American League. Does that have any impact? Does that mean his cards go down even more because we just don't care as much? Or will people finally put some respect on his name and put a rise on his cards? I doubt it, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, what an interesting league. What an interesting year. I think, like I said, next year is the one now for me as a City fan that I'd be looking forward to. It's a bit of a rebuild we're going through. It's kind of a shame. Similar to what I'm doing with the Chiefs at the moment, my collection of sort of this dynasty. I'm going to do something for Man City as well. Go through the dynasty players of the formidables, the Centurions, the treble winners, the 4 in a rows, the people involved, the players that are involved in them sort of years. Make sure I get some of their cards, autos if possible. numbered autos if possible, then autos if not numbered for the pricing. So I don't want to go too expensive on these. It's just my personal collection, just a nice little something. And then if they don't have autos, they're just like numbered cards, some nice looking cards. If I had to do stuff like that with some of the cheese ones, obviously, because not every player is going to get autos, numbered autos, etc. So yeah, it'd be nice to add that to a collection as well. I don't think it's coming to an end, but I definitely think it's going to a new cycle. I don't think Pep will be here much longer. I think the team will build a team that's challenging, and someone else will come in, and we'll just be winning teams for a bit. But we shall see. We shall see. So enough about Man City now. If you don't click in to listen to Man City. But yeah, elsewhere on the league, it was a few shock results, like I said before, but Liverpool pretty much wrapped up. It's all about top 4 race now. That's the interesting part. Then we had we also had the Formula 1 this weekend, the Bahrain Grand Prix. I think, like we said, touched on before, it was been sort of less interesting for a lot of people who probably got into F1 during the COVID times, Drive to Survive, etc. With the whole Max, the controversy of the first title for Max, and then his dominance last 3 years after that. But this year is going to be very interesting, I think. And I think the interesting one that maybe people didn't see happening was the Piastri-Norris rivalry. Same team, but both really good racers. And Piastri is the first two-race runner of the season. I know we're very early doors here, but yeah, he's proving his point. He's getting the poles, he's getting the wins in. He's making it very interesting at the top there, and I think a lot of people were expecting a whole Norris Verstappen scenario to sort of carry on playing out like he did towards the end of last season. But yeah, Piastri's knocking out them wins, and he won't be far off having the same amount of wins as his career wins as Norris in a quarter of the time. It's I think McLaren has a potential problem on their hands. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how this one plays out. It's hopefully good for the sport and the cards as well, which is going to be interesting. I've already seen a few people, like I'm going to strike Troy cards, Troy Wright cards, what his name is, has put a post out asking for high-end Piastris already. I think there's anticipation now that he's going to have a challenge, potentially win it this year, which could be crazy to think about. But it's good to see Formula 1 sort of back in this sort of limelight, back in the hype as well. This hype cycle for it. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting how it plays out. I do think there'll be I think there'll be some more. We've already seen Red Bull be quite critical and acting very fast to sort of stop having this team as Max Verstappen, anyone getting points for them, because they want to be up there in the constructors championship. So they brought in Yuki, who got a couple of points today. I think it's his first for Red Bull. So yeah, very very interesting. I'm just looking at the golf, which I'll touch on in a second. It's getting interesting now. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, I think Liam Lawson's obviously having a bad time. Jack Doohan at Alpine, they got to look at things. Obviously, Gasly did well today. I don't know what happened on the last corner or something, or even the straight to the finish line. They got took by Verstappen. Yeah, crazy. But yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a good year. I think there's going to be a lot of. I was expecting a little bit more from Carlos Sainz, not gonna lie. Having the whole drop from Ferrari and going to Williams, he made that choice, and I thought he might try and let people know that, hey, I'm still the top quality driver. It's not kicked off that way yet, but it's a bit unfortunate today with the incident. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. And then we'll talk about briefly the UFC that also happened. Paddy the Baddy. Now, a lot of people have been sort of out on him and tried to get his cards for quite a decent price. Probably his career best performance in the early hours of the morning. And then he also had a little altercation. There we go with Colby Covington. I forgot his name then. So it's only going to help because Colby can sell fights because he talks a lot of trash. So yeah, his stocks could be rising. It could be a good time if you have any of his cars. Like think about getting them sold. Well, hype's there, especially leading up to potentially a fight with Colby Covington. But yeah, I think his stock's probably going to be all time high right now. So it could be an interesting play if you have any old Paddy the Brady cards to get rid of now or leading up to the next big fight. It would definitely be the time to get rid of them. I think it's good. I think again, career best performance. I'm not sure he's going to be like that elite, but we shall see. We shall see. I could be wrong. Let me just go over the golf he's on. So currently, McIlroy is lead. He was leading pretty much. He had a bit of a mare in the first hole, but he's been smashing it. And Bryce DeChambeau has kind of fell off, and now Rose is now second at 10 under. So Rory's 14 under on the 10th. Rose is 10 under on the 13th. DeChambeau is 9 under on the 10th as well. So yeah, very, very interesting ending to this now. They're all in the final 9. Back 9, as they say. Rose is about to tee off on the 14th. Oh, he smashed that one. I know you're not here for the commentary. Oof. Oh, gone wayward. But yeah, interesting. McIlroy is quite clear. What is he? 4 shots clear, 8 holes to go for himself, 5 to go for the Rose, who's 4 shots behind. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. When you listen to this, you will know. You would know if McIlroy's won the Masters or he crumbled. He's the best shot there on the 11th. Is it on the 11th? But hey, he's played well. He's kept his cool. I think he might do it. Famous last words, all right. Bryson DeChambeau. Oh, here we go. He's just about to tee off. I'm sorry for the commentary. It's just. Oh. He smashed that. We're talking. Oh, yeah, in a better. Yeah, definitely a better position than McIlroy there. He needs to claw back some shots. So, but anyway, yeah, the Masters is going on. I'll see there's golf hype. There's obviously Golf Prism. I've seen a lot of breakers, something like that as well, capitalizing. I thought this would be a good time to release the Sandler movie, Waterboy, not Waterboy. Happy Gilmore. I'd want a Waterboy too, but yeah, Happy Gilmore. The Masters, the products. It would have been good, and to get enough when we get a product out and it has Happy Gilmore autos in it, it'd be kind of cool. Shoot McGavin autos. Yeah, he missed a trick there. That would have been good. But you can't have it all. And elsewhere, NBA will be played as tonight, or tomorrow morning. So we know the East is pretty much locked up. The West is still a few games to be played to determine who finishes worst seeding wise. So that's obviously going to get into playoffs. It's going to get very interesting. So there's opportunities there as well, not only for the card market, because there's going to be a lot of teams now that are going to get a lot more hype and a lot more big games that people are interested in. They've probably going to come over from March Madness. Obviously the drafts in NFL is on a bit of people's minds, but the playoffs are always big times. So it could be a few plays there, especially with Luka, even Bronny. I mean, can you imagine LeBron and Bronny being the first father and son going to a chip together? Get that ring. That'd be crazy. Obviously, in ice hockey, Ovechkin is continuing to smash Gretzky's record. It'll be interesting to see where Ovechkin is sort of like seen and thought of in the next 20, 30 years. You've got to think about Gretzky, I mean, even when I was a kid growing up, sort of dabbling in ice hockey, Gretzky was the one. This is 90s, 2000s, and then now we're in 2025, and that record has just been broken. He's been retired for 20 plus years. Will there be the same sort of admiration, should we say, for Ovechkin? Will they be thought of the same? Will Gretzky still be sort of like the one they see as the GOAT? I mean, it's similar to the whole Jordan LeBron thing, right? We always seem to have this little weird cycle in the sports of someone who does something so incredible and someone who does it just as good, but in a different era. So then there's a whole who is the best, really. I think didn't Ovechkin break the record in the same amount of games? I think he did match it at the game in hand and then beat it. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he broke the record in the same amount of games that Gretzky had the previous record. I think I matched it at the game before, something like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest of ice hockey fans myself. Casual watcher against say as I used to be as a kid. But yeah, I think Gretzky will always be sort of the GOAT to me. Yeah, we'll see. And then again, I sort of said I always say I sort of missed the best of Jordan as well. But I think Jordan has this legacy of trainers as well in fashion and streetwear, so that kind of gives me that little nudge. But I was more of a Kobe guy myself, just because in 96, 97, when I'm sort of a little bit more interested in basketball and secondary school sort of area. I'm like 10, 11 and that year. So Jordan's 3-peating and being the man, and I'm just sort of getting into it, and then Kobe comes along and the Lakers about to be dominant again. So I sort of enjoyed that era more, the 99s, 2000s sort of era. Allen Iverson. Yeah, that was like more of an era I got to sort of sit down, watch a lot more, and enjoy. So yeah, I always have Kobe very highly up there for me. But each their own. But on sports cards, let's go on to actual sports cards. What we're sort of here for. I think it's interesting. Also, I would say you've got to be like involved in the sport when you want to sort of invest in these things. And we just talked about 5, 6 different sports there. And it's you sort of, in one hand, you've got to be ahead of the game in looking at the rookies that are coming through, and obviously a lot of mainly American sports, obviously with the Bowman stuff, you have the sort of the prospect in there because you have the college stuff, the university stuff, where you can get into these people, especially NFL, NBA. Obviously, Cooper Flagg's the big guy. This next round of drafts. Whereas obviously with like the Formula One, you have the F2 drivers in there. You can sort of prospect when it comes to soccer, the Prism, so your biggest one. It's more quite accessible. Maybe Merlin as well is quite accessible. You don't really have like lower league, stars that could then go to Premier League players, etc., or like EGS teams, etc. So be involved watching the sport and then seeing who could get a big transfers, but obviously a one way, which is a lot harder. But again, these are the sports we're talking about right now. Look at the sports we're not talking about right now. Which NFL is one of them. So it means there's possibly a good chance that the market is a bit down there to look into. If I go on to market movers, there's numerous quarterbacks, especially about players that markets are way down because people aren't really thinking or talking about NFL. They're thinking a bit about draft, prospecting on new, up and coming talents, the investor side of things. But I think a key thing to think about there is don't forget about sort of last year's quarterbacks and even a little bit the year before that. Their quarterbacks and them people, because there's a lot of people there that will make a progression. Whether that's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, another one. Because people aren't talking about them, some people just want to liquidate some money so that you can get some a bit lower than usual. So yeah, again, use tools like market movers. There's other ones out there as well, but I would recommend market movers. And if you want to use that to help the channel, just use the code Mahomes. If you head over to marketmoversapp.com, use the code Mahomes, MAHOMES. Yeah, 14-day free trial and 20% off any of the tiers you choose for life as well. So it's a good way of looking at the market. Again, you go, depending on what package you choose, but you got data from all data to a year to like 30 days, 60 days, etc., to see how well the card's performing. Is that an increase, decrease? Should you buy, sell? Any sort of patterns you may notice? The sort of the high sales August, September, the lows maybe December when people sort of need cash for Christmas stuff, and the lows maybe in April, sort of May, June when no one's really talking about them sort of sports. So I say recommend them, but it's other tools out there as well. Card ladder, even just using eBay sold and completed. When you click in sort of what cards you're looking for, make sure you go on tabs there and click sold and completed. You can go through all the ones that are sold and completed in the last X amount of days. I don't know how long their data is for, but you can always see there how the card's doing, but also just on eBay. Whereas a lot of these other apps will track other selling sites as well. Obviously, 130 Point is really good at that, and they have a free app as well. Alt, another one. But yeah, there's plenty of tools out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the episode, I believe. So, take care. Enjoy the hobby best way you can. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.